Just when you thought Deontay Wilder couldn't get any more delusional, he goes and takes it to the next level. He's now saying that Mark Breland was part of a plot and may have been responsible for spiking Deontay Wilder's water with some type of drug to sedate him against Tyson Fury. He's also talking about the referee was in on the plot. Everybody was in on it. Tyson Fury had something in his glove. As others have pointed out, if Tyson Fury had a hard object, and I pointed this out in previous videos, if Tyson Fury, a man, 260 odd pounds, had a hard object in his little 10-ounce glove, and he's hitting somebody upside the head, he would have smashed his own hand to pieces. He wouldn't have just put a dent in Deontay Wilder's head. He would have smashed his own hand to pieces. There's no way that Tyson Fury could have had his hands wrapped and put something in his glove at that stage. Deontay Wilder's manager trainer, JD's, was there in the room when Tyson Fury got his hands wrapped for that fight. So how could he have got something into his glove? They're saying, oh, he must have did it in the corner. Again, if you're trying to shove something down into a very tightly fitting glove in the corner, how could you possibly ensure that Tyson Fury doesn't seriously damage his hand when he's hitting Deontay if they're shoving it in such a haphazard fashion? It's absurd. And I've got these people in the comments saying, how can you say it's absurd, Hatman? Where's the evidence that Tyson Fury didn't cheat in both fights with glove tampering? I've been over it in several previous videos. Go to my YouTube channel and in the search box, type in Glovegate, Deontay Wilder gloves, etc. And there's loads of videos where I've covered it all in depth and totally debunked the whole ridiculous idea. It's absurd. You are a super casual, or you're just a complete moron if you think that there's any validity to what Deontay Wilder is saying. Now, has there been glove tampering in boxing before? Yes, there has been glove tampering in boxing before, but that's why the regulations are so stringent now. That's why they have not only a member of the commission inspecting the hand wraps and the gloving up process, but also a member of the other team. It's far stricter now than it's ever been before. So anyway, in some interview that Deontay Wilder did, the bit that made me laugh the most, right? Never mind saying that Mark Breland was part of a plot to poison him and tampered gloves and all this kind of stuff. I literally laughed out loud when I read this. He said here, he even had somebody on Fury's side to tell him, throw in the towel. They got a rematch. And I think he's talking about Mark Breland there. He's saying that Mark Breland was working for Fury and that's why he threw in the towel. He said, he was the only one handling my water. He was the only one I have strong sources. Again, he's talking about Breland. Dear, oh dear. And he says, on top of that, he didn't give me a warning that he was going to do it. You were in a fight. And Mark Breland is a quiet type of person anyway. Now look at this. This is the part that made me laugh. He said, in round 7, I'm getting myself back together. And all of a sudden, the towel is thrown in. What's the odds of that? I'm gathering myself. My momentum is coming. While I'm looking into his eyes, he's looking tired and fatigued. Oh my God. Yeah, you had him right where you wanted him, Deontay. Yeah, Tyson Fury looked like he was on the brink of collapse. The delusion in this man is unbelievable. I mean, has he watched the fight? This guy could barely stand. He was rocking around all over the place, getting battered by Tyson Fury in the corner, and he's acting like he had Fury right where he wanted him. You couldn't make it up. And as I've said to you, the reason that Deontay is so delusional is partly because of the fact that he's so unintelligent. I keep on saying this over and over again in videos about Wilder, but it's so obvious. It is incredible to me that some people think I'm being overly harsh when I say that Deontay Wilder is unintelligent. Are you kidding me? And there's another bit here which I loved because it was hilarious. But he was talking about the referee, Kenny Bayless. He said his eyes looked like he took a cocktail drink before going into the fight. Look, Kenny Bayless always has a slightly startled or whatever look on his face in all his fights. That's how Kenny Bayless is. But Deontay thinks it was specifically for his fight. He said his energy felt like, I'm going to do something to you, but I've got to do it. I'm a crab in the bucket. He was leaning on me. He elbowed me as well. Elbowed me in the face. The ref ain't do anything. Every time I've seen the referee, he's breaking the action up. He acted like he ain't know what was going on. Either he was drunk or he was part of it. Which one was it? Oh, no. But where is the bit I'm looking for? I'm going to find it here. Because this really made me laugh. Oh, yeah, here it is. Here it is. He was talking about going into the ring. All right. And he said, about 15 minutes before going out to fight, warming up on the mitts, it was perfect. I felt great. Until I went to the ring. That transformation, I was drinking certain water and stuff, trying to keep myself hydrated. I just started feeling weird. My water was spiked as if I took a muscle relaxer or something like that. After a fight is over with and it don't go in your favor, you're always looking for what happened. Certain things, the atmosphere just didn't seem right. It felt like something was about to go down and not in my favor. Yeah, you're about to get your butt kicked. That's what was about to go down. So damn right something was about to happen not in your favor. You sensed in the ether that you were about to get your butt kicked. And the reason for this is because probably on a subconscious level, Deontay Wilder may be aware to some degree that he's delusional. You see, this is one of the things that separates the more intelligent fighters from the less intelligent fighters, is the more intelligent fighters are introspective. They understand their own psychology more. They understand that there are certain things in their subconscious which can manifest in their behavior, in their performances in the ring. Deontay's not aware of this because he's not a very bright guy. And I'm telling you that Deontay Wilder has given in to his demons, basically. That's what he's done. He's afraid to confront the reality of what happened to him against Tyson Fury. He's afraid to face what's in his subconscious, the demons in there. So instead, he's trying to suppress them and pretend they don't exist rather than confront them. And that's why he's fired Mark Breland. That's why he's surrounded himself with all these yes men and these idiots in terms of his followers. And of course, one of the biggest idiots of all is Deontay Wilder's brother, Marsellos. I mean, this is a guy who said that he could beat Tony Bellew. Have you seen Marsellos Wallace? Marsellos Wallace, Pulp Fiction. Have you seen Marsellos Wilder fight? This is a guy who got chinned by a couple of journeymen. And I mean properly chinned. Sparked by a couple journeymen. And he's talking about he can knock out Tony Bellew. And this is the same guy who sucker punched Dominic Breazeale on the back of the head when Breazeale was there with his kids. That's Marsellos Wilder. Acting like he's some big tough guy who can beat everybody. Talk about a delusional person. Marsellos Wilder's worse than Deontay. This is Marsellos Wilder here. Look. 5-2. And both losses were by knockout. As you can see, lost to a couple journeymen. Knocked out both times Dustin Long and William Dietz. Dustin Long was 2-1-2. And he knocked out Marsellos Wilder. That was Marsellos' last fight. And William Dietz was 6-12. And he knocked out Wilder. Now, the William Dietz fight was scrubbed from the internet by Al Heyman. And I got to tell you, if I was managing fighters and I was working with some Al Heyman fighters, it would be very useful if my fighter got knocked out for PR purposes to have Al Heyman and his crew scrub all the footage from the internet. That'd be very useful. But from a boxing fan's perspective, it's very frustrating when advisors, managers, etc. Take down footage off the internet for PR purposes. But that's what they appeared to do for the William Dietz knockout. But when he got stopped by Dustin Long, there was no point. At that stage, Al Heyman and everybody else involved knew that Marsellos Wilder was going nowhere fast. So it wasn't really any great deal to them to just allow the footage to stay out there. So you can watch the Dustin Long knockout, and I'm the first to tell people that a lot of punches in boxing might not look to a casual eye that devastating, but boxing technique is such that you are able to channel tremendous power into relatively short punches. It's like in a street fight, people are swinging, they're pulling their hand back from 3 meters away and swinging huge punches, whereas in boxing, people don't do that. And so to a casual, they think that a huge punch must be a punch that looks like it travels a long way because they can see where the momentum for the punch comes from. But with boxing technique, with correct power punching technique, you learn how to rotate your hips in such a way that you generate so much velocity, on the punch and so much leverage that a very short punch that travels a very short distance and isn't wound back from 5 meters away can actually be just as devastating or more devastating than a punch that travels a long distance. So I'm the first to tell people that. But the punch that knocked Marsellos Wilder out against Dustin Long, people, that wasn't much of a punch. That was not much of a punch. And Marsellos Wilder was gone. And that just came out of the blue as well. It's not like he'd been hurt prior to that. He just got tapped on the jaw with a semi-decent left hand and he was finished. And this is a guy saying that he would destroy Tony Bellew. These are the kind of people Deontay Wilder's got around him. See, delusion is comforting to Deontay, believing all these ridiculous claims about a plot against him. This is comforting to Deontay Wilder. He entertains these absurd things so that he doesn't have to confront the reality of the situation. And the reality is he got beat by the better man. That's the reality. He can't deal with that in his head because he was so delusional going into the fight. He doesn't want to face his demons. And unless he faces his demons, then there's no hope for Deontay Wilder ever getting his own back on Tyson Fury. And to be honest, there's not much hope for him moving forward as a top contender or a future champion at some stage. There's not much hope for him unless he can actually get his feet back on the ground and get back in touch with reality and face his demons. Because if you don't face your demons, if you don't face the reality of what actually went wrong, you won't be able to improve. And subconsciously, you'll be carrying baggage. Because the next time he goes into a fight, even if it's not against Tyson Fury, and he's in trouble, and things are not going his way, the demons that he hasn't dealt with are going to come back into his conscious mind. They're going to come flooding back. That's what's going to happen to him. Very important to exercise those demons. And so Deontay has fired the only person with any semblance of common sense within his team, Mark Breland. And instead, he's brought his brother back close to him, Marsellos, who's coming up with all these absurd claims about the suit was too heavy and spiked drinks and, a plot by the referee and Tyson Fury with loaded gloves, all this rubbish. There's no hope for Deontay Wilder. The guy who was quiet as a church mouse on Sunday for months after that beating he got from Tyson Fury. This guy went missing. And as soon as the contract runs out, now he wants to start mouthing off. Why are you getting brave after Tyson Fury has already moved on? Where were you when Tyson Fury was calling you out several weeks ago, saying, where you at? Where were you then, Deontay? Nowhere to be seen. Now you come out acting like you're the, tough guy again. Come on. See, this is the thing with me and Deontay Wilder. As a fighter, I like Deontay because he's exciting. But as a character, he is so delusional And he's so unintelligent. He's so intellectually challenged that it can be entertaining, yes, seeing some of the things he says, but it can also be very frustrating. And that's I feel kind of conflicted with Deontay because, yeah, on one hand, I like watching him fight. He's given us some tremendously explosive performances. But at the same time, the man is such an idiot. It's hard to palate the stuff he comes out with, you know? And his delusional fans are just awful. Who raised these people? It's like these people have got little peanuts rattling around in their skulls. They don't even have brains. It's like a peanut. And that's how Deontay is. You try listen or read this interview with Deontay and try and tell me that is not a stereotypical country bumpkin yokel. Somebody who grew up like wrestling pigs and chasing chickens. Try and tell me that is not the kind of personality of somebody like that. He absolutely is. This is like a guy who's country strong. Yeah, Deontay is country strong. He's got that old Alabama power and all that kind of business. Got that country boy strength. But in his head, there's a peanut rattling around in there, and that's about it. So, anyway, any of you jokers out there who believe these ridiculous claims from Wilder, and you want to hear my response to it, as I said earlier on in the video, go to my YouTube channel, and in the search box, type in Wilder Glovegate, and I did loads of videos about it, addressing it point by point, going into in-depth detail, debunking the whole thing. I'm not going to repeat myself and give out all the same information again. Go watch the old videos. But for anybody else, and I have to imagine it's the majority now, who sees through all this nonsense from Deontay Wilder, let me know what you think in the comments below about his latest absurd outburst. All right, I'm out.